If you pulled the subsidies that government provides to conventional farming, that form of farming would disappear. This is information that's out there in well-documented literature that is just not part of the public conversation.
You need some outrage to get results. We need consumers to really search out food that's been grown sustainably and shun the products that are not.
The beauty of the market is you can change things overnight. And there was a beautiful example of this in California in the dairy industry with the bovine somatotropic hormone. And there was arguments whether the dairy industry should use this hormone to increase the milk production of their cattle. And it went nowhere. There's a lot of pushback until a single company responded to their consumers' wishes. And that was Starbucks company. Used half and half in their coffee. The cost of the half and half was inconsequential to Starbucks. They could pay 10 times for the half and half in order to sell that $5 coffee. In order to appease their clientele, they said to the dairymen, we want to have half and half that's not produced with bovine somatotropic hormone. The dairy industry in California responded by saying, oh, it's too hard to have two streams of half and half, so we'll just have all of our dairymen produce bovine somatotropic free, half and half, and within barely 2 years, the entire dairy industry shifted.
You know, around 10% of the food grown in the United States now is organic. And that number was virtually zero, 20, 30 years ago. Some very large corporate interests now own organic farms. And I'm not necessarily saying all farming should be organic, but it's a sign of how things are changing. It's driven in large part by consumer demand. There's this middle ground there of sustainability that has hardly been exploited. There's only 2 or 3 labels across the world that label food as being sustainable, not organic, but not conventional. And that's the market that I see is absolutely exploding in the next few years.
Farmers need to be able to have an incremental choices that they can make to say, oh, I'm going to be maybe on a scale of 1 to 10. So when you go to the supermarket and your choices are, hey, this farmer rates a scale of 2. Well, that's better than a scale of 0. And this guy is selling his produce and he's at a scale of 6, which means he has wildlife habitat on. He's been checked that he's not poisoning the streams with pesticide runoff. His soils are increasing in carbon, okay? And this other guy now, he not only does that, but he set aside 20% of his land as wildlife habitat. Well, maybe he's going to score an 8 right here. What I want is to have an outcome that's scalable, saying, oh, wow, your highest scale is if we had 100% wildlife habitat in your farm. That would be a 10. And 0 means you eliminated all wildlife habitat you had by corn or soybean monoculture. None of that has anything to do with organic. You can be a non-organic farmer and be at close to a 10. Genetic engineering has a place in that. There's nothing wrong, inherently wrong with genetic engineering. That has huge potential for organic agriculture. Even synthetic pesticides. Some of the synthetic pesticides are more eco-friendly than some of the naturally, organically approved pesticides. So we need to do this paradigm shift. Organic got us to this point, but now we got to go beyond organic. And by doing that, then we can allow market forces. That means that every single housewife, when she goes to the supermarket, can vote every time she spends $1. And by rewarding the farmers for encouraging better practices, she could shift the agricultural system in 3 or 4 years, completely change the agricultural system. That's the ray of hope that I see.